Bioholic. In our last lecture, we have discussed about the biodiversity, which was the second part of the chapter Science of Life. And today we will discuss about the conservation of biodiversity. So let's begin. So before moving on to our today's lecture, let's recapitulate previous lessons. Last day we have discussed about biodiversity, three levels of biodiversity, that is species diversity, genetic diversity, ecosystem diversity. Three scales of biodiversity, that is alpha, beta and gamma diversity, gradients of biodiversity, benefits of biodiversity and biodiversity in India. First of all, we need to discuss about the threats to our biodiversity. The most obvious manifestation of biodiversity loss is the extinction of species. This is a natural phenomenon. Species have been going extinct since the life began. Indeed, it is estimated that many more species have gone extinct than exist at present time. What's worrying is the rate at which species are currently dying out. So the main causes of biodiversity loss are considered as habitat loss and fragmentation, introduction to invasive species, overexploitation, and climate change and pollution. Number one is habitat loss and fragmentation. So what is habitat? Habitat means the place or type of site where a living organism or population naturally occurs, such as forest, wetlands, etc. And what is habitat loss? So when a natural habitat is altered so dramatically that it no longer supports the species it originally sustained. Thus, the plants and animal populations are destroyed or displaced, leading to the loss of our biodiversity. And this is also known as habitat destruction. But the habitat destruction is different from the word habitat degradation. So what is habitat degradation? According to IUCN, a decline in a specific habitat quality that leads to reduced survival and reproductive success in a population is called as habitat degradation. Habitat fragmentation. Now what is it? So habitat fragmentation is the breaking apart of continuous habitat into distinct pieces. The loss of habitat is the primary reason for the loss of biodiversity. So when people cut down trees, fill a wetland or burn a forest, the natural habitat of a species is changed or destroyed. And these changes can kill or force out many plants, animals and microorganisms, as well as disrupt complex interactions among the species. With the fragmentation of the large forest tract, species occupying deeper parts of the forest are the first to disappear. Now the next point is introduction to invasive species. So what are the invasive species? The invasive species, which is also known as introduced species or exotic species or non-native species, can be any kind of living organisms that is not native to an particular ecosystem and has their tendency to damage our ecosystem. And their characteristics include rapid reproduction and growth, phenotypic plasticity, which is known as the ability to adapt physiologically to a new condition, high dispersal ability, which is the ability to move away from the area of high population density to the low population density, and the ability to survive on various food types and in a wide range of environmental conditions. invasive species are capable of causing harm. Moreover, the extinction of native living organisms by competing with them for limited resource and altering habitats leading to the loss of our biodiversity. And these are the results of human activity. So the examples include the accidental introduction of an Atlantic comb jellyfish to the Black Sea. Next point is overexploitation. So the term overexploitation refers to the human activities connected with excessive capturing and harvesting of living organisms. Overexploitation of a particular species reduces the size of its population to an extent that it becomes vulnerable to extinction. Examples is the decline of Earth's largest terrestrial animal, the African elephant. Now the last point of the threats of biodiversity is climate change and pollution. Rapid change due to man-made activities affects the species' ability to adapt and survive, which increases the loss of biodiversity. And in addition to global warming, more frequent extreme weather, changing in the rain patterns, have significant impacts on biodiversity. Next thing what I am going to talk about is extinction of species. So what is extinction? Extinction is the natural process through which a species ceases to exist. Extinction may also be defined as the disappearance of any evolutionary lineage from population to species to higher taxonomic categories because of death or the genetic modification of every individual. Where a lineage has changed such that a new species is recognized, the extinction of the original or the parent species may also be called as pseudo-extinction. The new and original species are known as chronospecies. The extinction may be regarded as the result of failing to adapt to the environmental changes. It is assumed that between 5 to 5 billion species have lived at some time during the history of the earth. Fossils record indicates that of all the species that have ever lived on earth, about 99.9% have gone extinct. In the past 100 years, approximately 20 species of mammals and over 40 species of birds have become extinct. The term biodiversity crisis is often used to describe this elevated loss of species. Although the extinction is inevitable but has not occurred at a constant pace through the Earth's history, and also not same for all species. Next thing is mass extinction. There have been several periods of Earth's geological history when a large number of species became extinct because of catastrophes. So what is mass extinction? Mass extinction is the extinction of large number of species within a relatively short period of geological time, thought to be due to the factors such as catastrophic global event or widespread environmental change that occurs too rapidly for most species to adapt. At least 5 mass extinctions have been identified in the fossil record, coming at or toward the end of the Ordovician, Devonian, Permian and Triassic and Cretaceous periods. In Earth's history, two most important mass extinctions happened at the end of the Permian and the second at the end of the Cretaceous. The end of Permian mass extinction is the biggest in history. with more than 80% marine species going extinct. In the Cretaceous Tertiary mass extinction, at least 75% of species including dinosaurs went extinct, possibly as the result of an asteroid colliding with the Earth. Asteroidal collision, volcanic eruption, climatic cooling, sea level changes in our habitat area caused by plate tectonic movements are the 5 potentially general theories of mass extinction. Next thing is the susceptibility to extinction. The susceptibility to extinction is not same for all species. Some species are more susceptible to extinction than others. The susceptibility of species to extinction is related to various life history characteristics that influence the species' vulnerability to human activities as well as natural catastrophes. So the characteristics of the species for susceptibility to extinction are large body size, small population size, low productive rate, feeding at high trophic levels in the food chain, fixed migratory routes, high specialization, narrow range of distribution, and poor dispersal rate. Now let's talk about two species in terms of their susceptibility to extinction. First one is the ubiquitous species. A species with geographically widespread distribution is referred to as ubiquitous species. Examples are bird, domestic cat, domestic dog, fox, donkey, deer, etc. And the next one is endemic species. A species found to occur naturally in a single geographic area and no place else is said to be the endemic to that location. And the examples are kangaroos are endemic to Australia, purple pig-faced frog, Nilgiri langur are endemic to Nilgiri hills of western Ghats of India, Bedouin's toad, one-horned rhinoceros, Muger crocodile are endemic to western Ghats of India, and Asiatic lion is endemic to Gujarat in India. Now the next thing is IUCN Red List categories and criteria for the biodiversity conservation. The International Union for the Conservation of Nature and Natural Resources is an organization working in the field of nature conservation and sustainable use of natural resources. The IUCN Red List categories and criteria are clearly defined system for classifying species which are at the risk of global extinction. The species are classified by the IUCN Red List into 9 groups based on the following criteria, which are rate of decline, population size, area of geographic distribution, degree of population, distribution and fragmentation. The 9 groups of IUCN Red List categories are shown in this figure. Now, here are some examples. Examples of extinct species are dodo and passenger pigeon. Example of extinct in wild species is Allogoas carasho. Example of threatened species angel shark, Atlantic cod. Example of critically endangered species gharial, great Indian bustard, Ganges shark. Example of endangered species red panda, Royal Bengal tiger, snow leopard, black buck, one-horned rhinoceros. Example of vulnerable species: Nilgiri marten, Nilgiri langur. Example of near threatened species: polar bear, white rhinoceros. And example of least concerned species: Adélie penguin. Moving on to the conservation of biodiversity. So what is conservation of biodiversity? The conservation is the protection, preservation, management or restoration of wildlife and natural resources such as forest and water. Through the conservation of biodiversity, the survival of many species and habitats which are threatened due to hormone activities can be ensured. The conservation of biodiversity are two types: in situ conservation and ex situ conservation. Now, the first type of biodiversity conservation is in situ conservation. So, what is in situ conservation? In situ conservation is a conservation of habitats and ecosystem where living organisms naturally occur. That is on-site conservation. Examples are biosphere reserves, national parks, wildlife sanctuaries, sacred groves, biodiversity hotspots. Number 1. National parks. National parks are protected areas usually declared and owned by the central government. India's first national park was established in 1936 as Hailey National Park in Uttarakhand. At present time, there are total 103 national parks in India. Second is Biosphere Reserve. These are a special category of protected areas of land or coastal environments where people are an important components of the system. These are representative examples of biomes and contain unique biological communities. The concept of biosphere reserves were first launched in 1971 as a part of UNESCO's Man and Biosphere program. The first biosphere reserve was established in 1979. The main objectives of biosphere reserves are the conservation of ecosystem, socio-cultural and economic development, and to provide support for research and education. Now let's talk about the structure of biosphere reserve. The biosphere reserves have three interrelated zones, and they are core zone, buffer zone and transition zone. Core zone, where no human activity is allowed, the area is undistributed and legally protected ecosystem. The second one is the buffer zone. It surrounds the core area and limited human activity is allowed here. And the last zone is the transition zone, which is also known as the manipulation zone, the outermost area of the biosphere reserve. And this zone has different parts like forestry, agriculture, tourism, restoration region. Examples are Nanda Devi Biosphere, Sundarbans. Hope this picture will clear the idea about Biosphere Reserve Zone. Now the last point is the biodiversity hotspots. The concept of biodiversity hotspots originated with the British ecologist and writer Norman Mailes in 1988. The biodiversity hotspots is a relatively small area with an exceptional concentration of endemic species and a large number of endangered and threatened species. A key criteria for determining the hotspots are number of endemic species, degree of threat in terms of habitat loss. Examples are 4 of 35 globally identified biodiversity hotspots in India are the Himalayas, Western Ghats, Northeast and Nicobar Islands. Here are some special kind of species relevant to this portion. First of all, the flagship species. This is a species chosen for their vulnerability, attractiveness to represent an environment cause such as an ecosystem in need of conservation. Example is Royal Bengal tiger. Now the keystone species. It is a species that plays an essential role in the structure, functioning or productivity of a habitat or ecosystem at a defined level. Example is the American beaver. Now the umbrella species. And these are the species selected for making conservation related decisions. Typically because protecting this species indirectly protects the many other species that make up the ecological community of its habitat. Example is leopards. Okay, so the second type of conservation is ex situ conservation. So what is ex situ conservation? Ex situ conservation is a set of conservation techniques involving the transfer of a target species away from its native habitat to a place of safety. Examples include botanical garden, zoological garden, seed bank, sperm bank, etc. Now, if you have any doubts or questions related to today's lecture, ask me in the comment section below. I have provided the questions related to this part in the description box. Go through this and try to solve this. Next Wednesday, I will provide all the answers and will start a new chapter, taxonomy and systematics. So that's all for today. If you find this video helpful, then please give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to our channel BioHolic and hit the bell icon for further notification of our upcoming videos. So thanks for watching. Till then, take care and keep watching BioHolic.